What do you say we move on to some even less impressive aliens in our next film,
Night of the Creeps.
Night of the Creeps?
Right. Um, we might have to break up. This is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Okay, okay. I mean, we can. Do you mind if we take a smoke break, Chauncey, and then we can just do the next one? And if we need to break it up into two, I mean, no
No,
worries
that's
there.
fine. I was joking that you and I might have to break up if you don't love
Oh,
this movie.
okay. Thought you were talking about episode structure.
No, no, no.
Okay, okay. No, no, I think it's delightful and insane, and it has just breakneck pacing. This
Yeah,
movie really does not let up.
no. Yeah. To me, it is really sort of the greatest of what the 80s has to offer
Mm,
as far as horror films is concerned. It is just lighthearted, freaky. It's all those things all at the same time.
hmm No,
Yeah.
and even the complaints I have about this movie, I feel like they got wrapped up as soon as the thought dawned on me that maybe the moral of the film is that we're all creeps. I'm like, yeah. If you look at it from that perspective, even the behaviors that you would write off in today's day and age, they're okay.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the director, Fred Decker, apparently wanted to shoot the film in black and white originally.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to include like every B movie cliche he could come up with. Uh,
That's fun.
but they wouldn't let him do it in black and white, of course. But
Well, I'm glad they didn't because I would have really lessened the first part of the film.
yeah, and plus how colorful it is really kind of part of the fun of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the over the black and white, them running the credits that were, I think, yellow with like the blue drop, solid
Mm-hmm.
drop and everything. It had this whole kind of comic book thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I loved
Yeah.
it.
No, I've
So
loved it too. Let's
for the
let's start out
audience,
with the aliens, maybe.
well, let's say for the audience, here's an older film, so we can run it down. The movie is basically about space babies that are transporting dangerous cargo that lose it on the planet. The cargo is slugs that turns people into zombies.
Chauncey, don't lie to the audience. It's not space babies. I believe it's sentient space scrotums.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Or here's a better one. This is actually a precursor to Pumpkinhead.
Oh, totally. Yeah, they were
And
kind of like squat little pumpkin heads.
yeah, those were the Pumpkinhead creatures, proto Pumpkinheads.
Also a great movie.
It is.
So yeah, it starts Tom Atkins. He's a, hardcore B movie mainstay.
I'm gonna have to look up his
The guy
filmography here.
Yeah, the guy who played the cop, he was in The Fog, Escape from New York, Creep Show, Halloween 3, Maniac Cop, the remake of My Bloody Valentine, and a lot of other things.
Wow.
He's sort of like the male version of a Scream Queen.
Yeah, yeah. No, I didn't realize he was so prolific, but your background on horror is much better than mine.
Yeah, and I always love him because he always plays like the ridiculous character like he does in this.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
so ridiculous.
But he is definitely the crowning character in this of awesomeness. But I have to
Yeah.
say all the characters are totally likable.
They are pretty likable. I didn't care for our main guy though, I gotta say.
And that's one thing I kind of like about it is that like they always try to take the nerd and turn him into like a cool guy, a diamond in the rough, and really if he's just polished right, he'll be a better version of what everybody else is. And in
Yeah,
the
no,
case
he's
of
terrible the whole time.
yeah, he's
His
truly a nerd.
Yes, no, his friend was much more likable in my opinion, but mostly it's just hard to wrap my head around like
The girl
it,
liking him.
the girl liking him, just his immediate like psycho possessiveness over her. Like, oh, that's the one I'm gonna marry her, and his friend's like, well, let's make it happen, bro.
Yeah,
And he doesn't know her name. Uh, doesn't know if they're in the same grade. Doesn't know if they have any of the same interests. I don't
right.
think he's heard her speak at that point.
Yeah, well, this was not exactly, 86 was not exactly
I know,
a
It
women's
wasn't.
lib year for movies.
It was not a woke year, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, it definitely wasn't. But I have to say, Jill Whitlow, the chick who played Cynthia,
Mm.
was like one of my first like Hollywood loves.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember watching this movie when I was younger, going like, "Oh my gosh, I love that chick." You know, I
Yeah.
wanted to date Jill Whitlow.
No, my very first movie crush as a child was the childlike empress in Neverending Story.
Oh, I don't blame you. Yeah,
Yeah.
as a 12-year-old, I would totally think that we should, do what 12-year-olds do together, which is,
Hold hands.
right, hold hands and maybe kiss at the
Exchange
dance or
notes.
something.
Yeah.
I talk about that now. It's like my wife and I will be walking around and like, so we go to the casino every Friday night
Hmm.
and and Terry knows all the staff because we go every Friday night, and
Hmm.
there's this one girl and she's just all, oh, she's so pretty. Don't you think she's hot? And like, she's like 22 and I'm like 42. And I'm
Hmm.
just all, honey, at this point in my age, like, I do think that she's totally hot. And younger Chance would have thought she was totally hot. But now when I see hot chicks, it makes me want to buy them a backpack and pay for their schooling. It's like, I just don't have that now because I see him as a child.
Yeah, yeah. No,
One of my rules in life
100%.
is,
The older you get, the higher up that you're a kid. Like
yeah, yeah.
range goes. Yeah.
My
It
new
follows you
standard
for
for
sure.
this is like, if you're not 10 years older than my oldest child, you're undateable.
Yeah, yeah. That's a
You
good standard.
But that character Steve Marshall as JC, the disabled guy, he I gotta say that the area where this movie was woke
Mm-hmm.
is they really displayed a disabled person as like a main character, a likable character, probably
Yeah,
the
a
most
fully
truly
fleshed
admirable
out, yeah,
character in the
a
movie.
fully fleshed out person. Like he's the only person who, when he passes, I'm like, ugh.
Right.
I,
He's the only guy in
I
the movie
wanted
that
more of this guy. I wanted to see more of this character. Like it's a shame this guy's gone from the movie now.
and he's the only one in the movie that I like personally identified with, that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
considered myself somewhat like. And
No,
it's
I
not
I
common that you
agree
see
because
that with a disabled character.
yeah. No, I agree because he's in the background in how people notice him, and I
Right.
think
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what are some of your complaints?
I don't even know if I want to go to complaints yet. I want to start out with the intro because I love the black and white '60s. You were saying that he tried to put in as many tropes as he could,
Yeah.
and I feel like he did it by age of the scenes too, because the stuff that takes place in the '60s felt like a movie from that era, like through and through.
Yeah, sort of the post-atomic horror sort of
Yeah,
creepy
even
monster
like
film
the
style.
camera angles, the way they show the car when they're zooming in on it and the music goes in and they go straight to that close up of the guy and even like the switches between scenes or areas in a scene I felt like kind of nailed that era of filmmaking too.
Yeah, I totally agree. So what we need to do is also add a new segment to our show called 6 Degrees to the Predator, because the director Fred Decker wrote The Predator.
Oh,
Isn't that funny?
yeah.
But
We
yeah, he was just such a B movie fan, man. He put it all in there just perfectly.
yeah. Yeah.
He actually wrote a couple of other. He wrote Titan AE. He was uncredited for that.
Mhm.
I don't know if you saw that.
I barely remember that movie.
But he wrote and directed RoboCop 3, which is definitely a return to the B film.
I haven't seen it, but I know that it's not well regarded in the RoboCop movie universe.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. He put in everything just awesomely. The sort
Yeah.
of slow. It's like even the amount of camera work. So these
Mhm.
older films, they had less cameras. They had less
Mhm.
camera work. And like he had more long drawn out scenes, sort of
Yeah,
slow
yeah,
sequence.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, really just well done, and really those tropes sort of went throughout. And now it's hard to tell with the movie from 1986, like what was a trope from the past and what will become one of the future.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good question. And my knowledge of like 70s horror is almost nil outside of Godzilla movies. So,
I love Godzilla movies.
me too.
But yeah, so like I don't know where they are in the span of the trope of the frat boys, but man, they nailed it.
They did. They they did. I also wrote down some hair stuff, which I thought was interesting.
Totally.
So you'll notice it. You'll notice it during the confrontation scene. All the bullies are outside of the front of some building, and
Right.
the two main characters are there too. The bully pushes over the kid on crutches, and yeah, if you look at their hair parts, if you part the main part of the coif, so it's on the left hand side, that's strong cool guy hair, and you'll see like John Hamm have it in Mad Men, Tom Brokaw and John Wayne. And if you part the main part of the coif to the left, then you've got a like wormy weak guy character.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So our two heroes get the wormy weak guy part, and all the jocks get the manly cool guy part.
Yeah, but some of them also got like mullets and handlebar mustaches.
They do also have mullets.
And they look like they're 30. I'm just all like, how long have you been in college?
a really long time.
Yeah. It was like
it's because their parents know that they're definitely moving back in as soon as they're done with college.
Yeah,
like these are guys who can't hold down a job, so they just keep paying to keep them in school.
Right, because they know that their only choice after that is to have them work for their company. And
and they don't want to. They don't want to see that kid every day.
Right, and sexually harass the secretaries.
Yeah, they're enjoying their freedom, and they're going to keep it going.
Yeah, totally. It was ridiculous, but that bad guy Brad, he was like the bad guy from Revenge of the Nerds, the bad guy from Karate Kid. You know, he was like everybody. You know.
Yeah.
He was like he was on the brink of sweeping the leg.
He's an everyman for shitty people.
Yeah, totally.
Like all the people who were him out there who are watching this movie are like, I like that guy. Had I
been watching this with my buddy Jason, who we always said growing up looked like the bad guy from the Karate Kid, so we'd always like be, I'll sweep the leg, Johnny, you know. So it's like perfect for him, you know. Yeah. And then, man, sweaters have come a long way.
They have, thank God.
Yeah, but all in all, I have to say, just anybody who hasn't seen this movie, I would say this is awesome. Now, I really want to hear some of your complaints, though.
All right, complaints. I mean, other than certain aspects of the movie not holding up in terms of, like the way they approach women in the film.
Yeah, well,
doesn't hold up. I mean, that's my biggest complaint, and that's really age of the film. That there's nothing you can do about it. The film shows its age, and that's fine. But if I look at it through the lens of everyone's a creep, then it totally works in the movie.
Right? Yeah, totally. Yeah.
No. So negatives. I mean, I don't have too many, Chance. Like overall, it's very entertaining, and very well done. I want to ask you, like, what's your favorite detective quip?
Oh, I don't know. Probably the one that they used for the poster, the I got good news and bad news girls.
Oh, yeah.
The good news is your dates are here. The bad news is they're dead. You know?
Yeah. No, his deliveries are great. I did not understand. Some of them didn't quite lit. When he says it's Miller time, I felt like that. It came out of nowhere.
Did they get paid for that?
I don't know. Was he ad-libbing? That's another question of mine. How much of his dialogue did he ad-lib, and how much was actually in the script?
Right, because he says "thrill me" a couple of times when he answers the phone.
He says it a lot, and it rubs off on our young hero, who then also begins using quips at the end of the film.
Right. Spanky
Yeah.
is what
Yeah.
he ends up getting called. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I thought that was so funny when the detective's like, classic Spanky.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
you've known this kid for all of I don't know. He's been on your radar for about 4 hours.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
No,
And
just
when
the
he's
amount
just
of
all
nonchalance accepting of whatever's happening this detective has is great.
yeah, absolutely. And when he's just all, oh, are you Detective Cameron? He's all, no, Bullwinkle Moose. You're just all
Right.
like, what is up with this guy? But I take it back. Oh, have we covered the best scene yet?
No, no, we haven't covered the best
Okay,
scene yet.
okay, okay.
I've got a few. I mean, for me, the best scene, I feel like they nailed horror with that bathroom scene.
Oh, totally.
Uh, it's so tense because
Yeah.
because of his physical disability, like that guy's basically marooned in a bathroom stall.
And he's the one guy you think might not die, and the one guy
Right?
you don't
Yeah,
want
he's
to
the one
die.
guy you don't want to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that scene is gripping. I felt for him.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know how you love something for years and it like changes? Like I'm a fan of the Ramones and my favorite Ramones song has changed about 90 times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with this movie, for some reason, I've like associated it with like being a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point where like my favorite scene in it is like the one where I'm like absorbing emotion that probably isn't even there, and it's
Yeah.
when Detective Cameron is going to kill himself and he tapes up the door
Mm-hmm.
and does all the stuff, but then he gets the call and basically says, well, if I'm going to die anyway, I'm going to go kill some zombies,
Oh
basically.
yeah, no, that slow zoom on the open oven,
Yeah.
like that's a powerful shot right there.
Yeah, totally. So that's the scene that I love, like on a heartfelt level.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
But
feel you, and I felt like a lot of the scenes in this movie were almost like these mini vignette character portraits,
yeah.
and it really works.
And maybe each scene, because there is a lot of talk about how this guy was really trying to pay homage to a bunch of old movies. Maybe they're
Mhm.
pulled from old movies and I just don't know what they are,
I mean, maybe, but regardless, I felt like the showing, not telling work that this film does
Yeah.
was really good and difficult to pull off. I mean, if you were to take those individual scenes and watch them on their own, a lot of them tell a story within
Right.
that,
Yeah.
just within the scene. So it doesn't feel like there's wasted space in the movie at all. And I think that's part of what keeps the pace so lively.
Yeah, and it's just sad. Like, was it before its time or was there just never an audience there? Because the director really never went on to do anything really all that impressive as
Hmm.
a director. And even as a writer, really only has 6 or 7 credits to his name.
Yeah.
And none of them are necessarily all that great, although I did love Titan AE. So it's like, was it before its time?
Hmm.
It's like this cult status stuff, it's like hard to explain. I don't know.
No, no, I feel you, especially, if it's, I think when you're talking about cult status stuff is difficult to explain like this. I think when it's these one-offs where nothing else is produced, I think
Right.
that's the hard thing to tackle. Like, you've got legends like John Waters or whatever, and of course they're producing multiple things that people are interested in that make them the cult object versus just their films.
Huh. I think I
And
just had a personal realization.
shoot.
And that is that, like, I like to make things. I write things. I write songs. I dream of making movies, comics,
Mhm.
stuff like that,
Yeah.
But I know none of them are going to be great because I'm influenced by all this crap. So I
Hmm.
think basically what you're saying is that if you're going to make crap, you have to be prolific. You can
Yeah.
either make one thing that's great, like J.R.R. Tolkien, you know,
Yeah.
or you can just make a bunch of crap like Piers Anthony. But, you know, so I think I need to be more prolific in my
I
creativity.
mean, it is the exposure effect, John Z. So,
Yeah.
the more of something you have to expose people to, the more they like it over time, just because they hear about it more often and witness it more often. People are dumb.
Yeah, well
Brains
look,
are dumb.
yeah,
Ugh.
well I'm sure a great influence on Fred Decker was Roger Corman, and
Hmm.
look at him. His stuff was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
but awesome.
But so many people know that name, even if they don't even know his filmography.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he made some of the best worst films of all time.
That he did.
So, something I wanted to cover before we move on from this is the nostalgia of '80s movies,
Hmm.
and that this one to me is so incredibly nostalgic because it's so '80s. And I was trying to think of why '80s movies are nostalgic because I didn't necessarily grow up in the '80s. You know,
Okay. I didn't at all really. I mean, I was born in 84. So I feel like by the time, actual memory kicks in, it's 88
right.
and we're almost in the 90s at that point.
Well, I started high school in 1990.
Hmm.
So these movies I didn't watch in the 80s. I watched most of them in the 90s on
Hmm.
cable television because cable had become this thing, you know.
Yeah.
And so they were basically rerunning all these terrible movies on TV, and that's where I saw most of them, you know. I
I
saw
mean, if you talk to your parents, like that's kind of a common thread with a lot of these movies we hold on to, is
yeah,
that it's so strange to think that in like the 60s, the cheap shit to put on television were like black and white serials from the 50s.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. And so I think these are just so nostalgic to me because when I look at them, that wasn't really my high school experience.
Hmm.
But for some reason, I feel like it was.
I think maybe because these movies do a good job of like distilling the high school experience. And if you were to condense that experience to going into a strange place, being an outsider, finding some sort of niche, becoming accepted within a small social circle, and then coming out the other side again, that's high school, and that's almost the whole plot line of, the whole beat of most of these films.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's every person's life. Maybe
Yeah.
not women. Maybe they can't identify like you were saying.
I have no idea. I'd
But we
have to
were
be
talking
have to live a different life entirely.
I was talking to coworkers about this earlier about like
Mm.
you know, people hating on people who are racist like Christopher Columbus and stuff. And I'm
Hmm.
so well, of course he was racist. It was before 1968. Everybody
Yeah,
was. You know,
yeah.
it's like so like when I talk to my daughter about watching movies,
Hmm.
a lot of the time I say, you know, when you're taking in art, you have to take in the time it was created. You know,
Yeah,
you
I
have to
think
accept that.
yeah, I think in my opinion, it's more about, like I guess truthfulness of a story. I think the truth is more important than, whatever's been built up around it. So the lies about Christopher Columbus are, useless. Like it's useless information. And if you know the truth and you still want to celebrate somebody, fine. But if you want to remain ignorant of the truth, then you're doing history a disservice. Then you're not giving yourself the ability to learn lessons from history and, understand how things actually repeat.
Right.
So, yeah.
So even here, you know, you have to take into consideration that basically if women weren't treated like women in the 80s, then it wouldn't be a very good film to take place in the 80s,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. Like I don't hold the film's time against it or anything.
It's
And I
funny, right?
wouldn't I wouldn't compare it to Christopher Columbus because the film didn't subjugate anyone. So I feel like my rant, doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't have too much to do with this example.
That's what I was about to laugh about. Is like somebody's going to listen to this and then think about the movie in this totally serious regard and then go watch it.
Mhm.
Well, this is what they were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have to say, it is in one of my top 10 favorite films of all
It's
time.
great. It's a fantastic movie and I highly recommend it. I wouldn't, I even appreciate the fact that they left the ending open for a sequel that will never happen, but it's nice to know that the possibility is there.
That's the director's cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
What what is different in the actual theater release.
I don't remember exactly. I think they just kind of win and they win and then we see the dog walk off and we can see that the dog is still a zombie slug.
Okay.
And
In the
really they sort of
director's
leave it a
cut, the
little open-ended.
detective walks off,
Yeah. And
which
his
is
head
kind of a
splits open and all
bummer.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, total. Yeah.
No, it's a downer.
But yeah, the original theatrical one just kind of had a little pop-up scare with the dog, and it was
Okay.
the sort of traditional '80s ending.
I kind of like that better.
Yeah, well, especially seeing. Well, they did kind of make a sequel. There was this movie called Zombie Town that was marketed in some regions as a sequel and alternately titled Night of the Creeps 2, Zombie Town. But I think it was like a German film.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not an actual sequel.
No.
Yeah.
I have downloaded it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Well, I think I am out of comments on Night of the Creeps.
That's enough Night of the Creeps.
I've gone through my notes up and down, Chauncey. I mean, the
got
last
one more
thing
thing.
I have to say is that lawnmower point of view shot was excellent, and I wish more movies did weapon point of view shots.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, my closing statement is that a lot of things in this world can't be relied on, but whenever a movie has night of the, day of the, or anything like that in the title,
you can bet it'll be at least so good.
Yeah, it'll at least be okay.
Yeah. I'm going to have to find some examples to prove you wrong next time.
All right.
Night of the Crying Cats. I mean, that's a terrible film, Chauncey.
What about Night of the Lipas with the rabbits?
Oh, that one's so weird. I've never even seen it all the way through. I've just seen snips of it.
Yeah. Now, you got to really be committed if you're gonna.
You do. But I mean, big bunnies. I guess that's scary.
Well, as long as it eats you.
Yeah. but would it?
Right.
I say no. I say large bunnies don't develop a taste for blood.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to put that at the very end of the long list of movies that we're going to watch.
For sure. All right, Chance. Until next time, my friend.
All right.